Welcome back to Crypto Front. This is the front line where we are fighting together side by side for financial freedom. We want to be taking a look right around the market. Specifically, we're going to be covering JASMY, Telcoin, ONYXCOIN, as well as ZBCN. So, of course, I want to give you a background story as to what is happening right across the board so that you get, of course, to understand what these individual altcoins are doing. This is going to be a video which is actually packed with much information. So, we'll start here with the macro, and we actually have got what I would call positive news, right? And this is the Ukraine and the United States deal, which obviously has been, a center of controversy of late. But this thing is actually finalized. This takes the peace talks between Russia and Ukraine on a whole different level altogether. So peace is approaching, and obviously that is big for markets. Markets are going to like it too much. I mean, crypto is also going to be included in that. Another piece of great news is that the EU is going to be presenting a deal to the United States, which is going to be negotiating tariffs. And obviously that is also good for markets because, maybe finally we're going to be having a resolution to this whole thing, which has actually spooked markets of late. So we'll see how this actually goes, and hopefully this is correct news and it's not something that is just speculation, right? We also have got another piece of great news, which I think that most people in crypto have been waiting for a very long time, and that is the rumor that the Fed is going to be cutting by a full point, probably this Wednesday, next week Wednesday. So we'll see what happens by there. For me personally, I think that they are not going to be cutting right now. If they're going to be cutting, maybe not by a full basis point. I would think maybe they would cut by 0.25 or something like that, but let's see what happens by them. Now this actually brings us to where the market is in general. We'll start with the Bitcoin price, which obviously dictates what happens with everything else. And you can see with the Bitcoin price, it's simply waiting for something to happen right there. You can see there is massive indecisions with these candles. Now we know that we have got a catalyst or something that can push markets leading into next week, that is Wednesday, when we've got the Fed meeting. So I think this is what the price is waiting for here. Now, I really would not know what would happen with this price if, let's say they come and they say interest rates are going to be cut. Maybe you're going to be having a very quick push towards the upside right there. But what we've also seen with interest rates cut is that, that has also dropped the market. So it's really a tricky situation. At the same time, if the Fed comes and say, we're not going to be doing anything, we're just going to be keeping them constant, I would also anticipate that the price would come right around, $90,000 one more time, and maybe try to backtest this whole support level before. Possibly the market will be pushing towards the upside once again here. So this is what we have with BTC, massive indecision right there. I think it's very clear that Bitcoin is waiting for somewhat of a decision to come from the Fed, and maybe also this deal between the US and Ukraine, and eventually a peace talk. So if there happens to be a deal between the US and EU, I think this is going to be something that propels markets one way or the other. So that's where we are. But you know what? You tuned into this individual altcoins. Before we actually get there, I want to kindly ask you to help me spread the video by delicately tapping the like button. It really helps the YouTube algorithm in understanding that this video is very important, and of course it will be shown to as many people as possible. If you're also new to the channel, please subscribe, because I do TA on Telcoin, JASMY, ZBCN, and ONYXCOIN on a regular basis. And of course, if you want me to continue, give me that feedback, right? You know what? Let me not burn my mouth too much here, and let's get right into it. So what you see here is Telcoin on a daily time frame, just like I had just right now. And we see that we have had a major support right there, right around 0.005. as well as 0048, I would say. So we have actually dipped into that zone today, and I was saying that I was actually announcing to Patreon members that, I've actually begun my buys in here, opening a long position, expecting this support to hold. And yeah, you can see that there is this inverse head and shoulders pattern, right, that is already played out. But if you actually take a look, a closer look, you can also see that there is an even bigger inverse head and shoulders pattern, which you would call this one the other shoulder, and then there's a shoulder in the making here. Then of course this would be the head. So this is looking bullish to me. As long as this support holds, I think that we're going to be pushing towards the upside once again. And if we also see follow through with the Bitcoin price, I think that we can easily reach something like 2 cents here for Telcoin. So I'm very much bullish on it, and we'll see actually what happens in the coming few days. But for now, I think that once we are in the support here, I'm going to be buying more and waiting for just all these pieces to fall in place. And then of course we have a resolution. We're pushing towards the upside. It's going to be sunshines and rainbows in my humble opinion, right? But of course, long term, we are still looking at our work of accumulation pattern, and that is the thing that has always stayed true. Work of accumulation patterns are very much bullish, and yeah, I think that we're just working out our sign of strength right there. We'll pull out, and I think we can even reach as high as 11 cents. 22 cents is something that is also very much possible right there. In the coming days and weeks, maybe we can make detailed updates as to what is happening long term right there. So that's good with Telcoin. We also want to be looking at JASMY coin, which is to me looking very much bullish, because what happened here is that we broke support here, then massive fall towards the downside, recovered very much quickly, and still we have managed to stay above that support. So this is good. And also looking at where Bitcoin is, just holding, I mean, following, step by step what Bitcoin is doing is something that I like, because I know that most altcoins have actually been battered against BTC, but JASMY, for one reason or the other, it has actually managed to outperform the Bitcoin price itself. So what we also see is that today we have got the volume up by 52%. Of course, this is $50 million that is stated. JASMY usually goes on to do 200 million, I mean, whatever the case may be. But the fact that this volume is increasing whilst we're seeing the price not doing much is an encouraging sign, because it means that probably a spring is loading right there for JASMY, right? Meaning any moment from now you could see drastic price action towards the upside here for JASMY. So I want to see this continue. But I mean, outside of those things, we can also go ahead and refer to a few indicators here. Maybe we can take a look at the 50 daily moving average, as we always do, and that is actually looking safe for JASMY because we're still above it, right? And historically speaking, this has been a level that has supported the price, so it's cool. Then we also want to take a look at the EMA rebounds. I was posting about this earlier on, and you can see that we have actually, for the first time since I would say here maybe November 2024, we have managed to flip those EMA rebounds to the bullish side. So yeah, something is pretty much loading here for JASMY, and I can't wait for it to do its thing. I'm in long position. Obviously, I was sharing the strategy with Patreon members earlier, I think a week before, and even today we are still up like 180% the last time I checked, right? So I think it's looking safe. So there isn't much to talk about JASMY here outside of the fact that it's looking like it's hitting all support levels. We've got that horizontal support, which I was just showing you, and then of course we've got EMA rebounds and the 50 daily moving average pretty much doing the same thing right there. So that is okay. We want to be seeing more follow through, maybe reaching something like 3.2 cents. From there, we are back at main Fibonacci retracement levels. We will also have to come back and look at where the rest of the market is to try and figure out, is JASMY going to continue breaking this high that we had right there around 6 cents. But for now, I'll just be honest with you guys. Looking at what I'm looking, I think JASMY is looking okay. And of course, I mean, we'll be keeping an eye on the Bitcoin price. If BTC happens to fall a little bit, we want to see what kind of reaction we get on those 50 daily moving average, as well as the EMA rebounds, because we don't have to have a hard stand, right? I mean, in case things break, we have to take, a different set of action altogether. But for now, I think those things are holding pretty much well. Moving along, we want to be talking about a hot project, which is ZBCN, and this is looking great. I talked about it a little bit yesterday, saying that, look guys, this thing here is work of accumulating. Maybe this is not, the same accumulation that we were seeing with things like Telcoin, for example, which is pretty much detailed like this. But this is also, I mean, you don't really need to know patterns to understand that there are buys that are happening around this level here. And when the price moves up, some people sell, and then of course the accumulation continues. So this is something that has been happening for almost a year at this point, and that's looking okay. So I was mentioning in the last video that, look, we are approaching some kind of a resistance here. And for sure, we got that resistance. I was counting that, look, we have been rejected once, twice, times here 4, 5. This was going to be the 6th time. So we got a massive rejection. But again, I was saying that if you're somebody who is just holding the project, don't be discouraged by any of this. It's the process of working out that range that we have been stuck in. But one way or the other, I think we're going to be getting out of here. So one thing that I've actually been taking a look at is the RSI. And still up to this date, you see that we haven't actually gotten into that overbought territory, right? Now, this has actually given me much hope that we're going higher, because what's going to happen here is that likely the RSI is going to try to shoot and get into the overbought territory here. But you know what that means, right? It means that we're going to be able to break this resistance. Let me quote some numbers here. I would say 0.0014. Maybe 1.5, whatever the case may be. I think we're going to be able to break it and test the top right there, which is right around 0.002, I would say, in terms of the dollar valuation. So that is, the upper range, which we have interacted with, maybe only 2 times. So I'm expecting the price to get back to this level on top here. And if I would go ahead and talk about percentages, we can still see that's around another 50-something%. So I can't wait for this range to be figured out. And eventually, when the price starts breaking above, this resistance, this is pretty much price discovery. You really can't put, an estimate as to how high this thing can go, because what if you're going to be too conservative like me? For example, I'm looking at the market cap here, and I'm saying that, look, this thing has got $97 million in it at the moment. Can it get to $1 billion in terms of its market cap? I think it can definitely do something like that. There are projects which I've mentioned in the past valued at $1 billion in terms of their market cap and probably worth less, right? This is something that is way much more fundamental, but still a 10x for some people is too conservative, I would say. So the bottom line here is that this thing can actually be way much more bullish. I was looking at it and I was saying that, okay, I was, for a very long time assuming that it's listed on Coinbase, but to my surprise, it's actually not listed on Coinbase. Now, I remember something that I was, listening to when the Zebec team had Spaces, and the CEO actually mentioned that we are going to be listed on one of a very big exchange, and we have actually received funding from them. Now, I came here and I'm seeing that Coinbase Ventures is one of the investors in the project. Of course, there is OKX, which is also another top tier exchange. But I mean, Zebec is already listed on OKX, so definitely they were not talking about OKX. I think a Coinbase listing is something that is very much imminent, in my humble opinion. Let's see what happens there, but I think it's coming. Now, let's go ahead and talk about one, altcoin, which a lot of you actually like, and this is ONYXCOIN. But before I do that, let me tell you that you can go ahead and claim up to 120,000 in terms of USDT position value here if you go ahead and sign up with Bank, which is another exchange, non-KYC, and they have a fantastic deal here. So if you happen, let's say, to deposit $100 in your futures account, you're going to be getting $50 that you can trade. And of course, $500 gets you something like $200, $800 gets you something like $350, $1,000. I mean, you understand the deal, right? You can get to $450. So the more you deposit in your futures account, that's actually the more that you're going to be receiving. I mean, these are like an airdrop to give you, free USDT that you can trade. Once you claim profits, you're good to go. But of course, you have to use these funds, I think, within 7 days. And go ahead and take a look at the rules. The link is going to be somewhere there in the description. Feel free to check it out so that you'll be able to claim all those, bonuses and stuff like that. So that's really cool. Coming back here to ONYXCOIN, I think we have actually talked about this before, that look, I think this thing is accumulating and waiting to push one more time towards the upside. I've said that I'm looking forward to something like 7.7 cents, 7.5 cents thereabout. The reason is because we have seen something that is very much common here, a crash. Then of course we have somewhat of a retracement, and as of yet I think the price is just trying to accumulate in here. Once it's done accumulating, another strong push, which is almost vertical, because the chart always does something like this. It doesn't move slowly. When it just wants to move, boom, it starts to move towards the upside. So I think that's looking good. And I mean, we have got an indicator that is almost indicating the same thing here, and that is the Bollinger Bands on the daily time frame. You can see that they have started shrinking in here, and that's going to be squeezing the price for quite some time, in my opinion. Maybe 2 weeks, maybe 1 week. I don't even know like the time from here, but I think we're going to be just accumulating just for a bit more, and start pushing way hard, because that's what the price has always done in the past. Now, of course, we also are looking at the EMA ribbons, and we're holding them as support as we are speaking right now. And I think that's great, because I mean, in the recent few times that we have managed to do something like this has also led to big pushes, as you can see right here too. And I mean, we can just go back in the life cycle of ONYXCOIN. This is the thing that you want to see. You just want to be, supported by those EMA ribbons. And of course, from there, you're looking to have a strong push towards the upside. So that's where we are with ONYXCOIN. And I hope that, pretty much history is going to be either rhyming here or repeating what it has actually done in the past. But for now, I think, accumulation is something that is much more likely. And then all of a sudden, boom, it hits everybody by surprise. I think I actually had a chart which looks just the same here, which you can also see here that there was this, crash towards the downside. And then, of course, the chart recovers a little bit. Then it goes one more time into somewhat of an accumulation. Then all of a sudden, boom, you start pushing one more time towards the upside. So that 7.5 cents that I'm talking about is, a price target, is just coming from the bare minimum that I think the price can do. Obviously, I know some people have put higher price targets than me, but, I'm doing me for the most part. If you go ahead and grab your Fibonacci retracement tool from the very top until the bottom here, you end up seeing that your golden ratio is 7.5 cents here, the 1.61 Fibonacci extension level. So this is the first area that I have to look for, price targets and stuff like that. You know what? Let me go ahead and show you some of the trades that we took last week in our private Discord group. And this was Telcoin, which actually brought us a 10x. I mean, a 4x. I'm saying 10x. The 10x was the leverage. Then, of course, we saw Supra 372%. We also had Alpaca 374%. That was great. Then JASMY 330%. We also had Notcoin 134%. Nothing much, to be honest. Popcat 100%. I mean, this is a decent trade. Then, of course, we had a loss with Alchemy Pay. It really happens, and it is what it is. But the thing here is that, if you've been winning 400%, 300%, you can also afford to lose a 54%. It is what it is. You don't win everything in trading. So what I'm doing here is I'm giving all the trade signals to the Patreon members in our Discord group. And if you're also interested in those ones, feel free to check the link that is going to be down there in the description. That will lead you to Patreon. Then from Patreon, you just come directly to Discord and everything will be sorted out. We're not only just announcing a trade and then leave you to it. I mean, there are so many benefits that we have right there. You can have an interactive group chat. You can also call me if you wish. And of course, there's a DM feature which you can DM me if you've got any question that you have. Then we are also giving a free trading course. Of course, once you're calling me and DMing me, maybe you're asking about something that you learned in the course that we have right here, about 42 videos. And they start from the beginning until the end, where you can be able to set up your own charts and indicators. Everything here, you'll be able to ask questions and stuff like that. I mean, we don't have a lot of numbers. The reason is that we actually limited this whole thing. So we only have 3 slots left because I want to be able to give my time to individuals who actually need this whole thing. So you see here that it says $100 per month, but that's actually not the case. It's actually $100 per year. It's just that in Patreon, there was no option to set this thing to annual. So once you have registered, you can go ahead and feel free to cancel because you're already covered for the rest of the year. So thank you so much for watching the video. If you could, please delicately tap the like button, share the video with your friends and family, and then I'll see you on the next one. Take really, really good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.